Happy Valentine's Day!
So welcome again to one of these episodes. We haven't done these in a very long time, but we wanted to get straight into it. So how many of you actually remember your wedding vows? That's if you've taken your or done your wedding vows. Well, we do, because we've got them right here. ChatGPT helped us out, and it says, so this is what I would have said to Bethel.
The joke is we have to use ChatGPT to and remind ourselves about what we actually said on our wedding day.
I know, exactly. So I would have said something like this. I, Mark, take you, Bethel, to be my wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part, according to God's holy ordinance, and thereto I pledge thee my faith. Wow.
So I would have said the same thing, to have and to hold, to love and to cherish, in sickness and in health, in richness and in poverty, until death do us part. To you I commit. I posted on Instagram the other day about love, and I was like, is love real? And I did have an interesting comment, like, is love a scam? And
Is love a scam? Wow.
do you know what? The thing is, I don't think love is a scam, but I think it's a scam to believe that you're going to have a happy relationship just because you love each other. That is not true.
But isn't that coming from a place where, possibly because of faith, we believe that love is the greatest force on this earth, and therefore love should cover a multitude of sins?
Well, here's the thing, and that's what we want to talk about today. Love is more than just, oh, I love you so much, Mark. Oh my gosh, I just want to spend the rest of my life with you and all that kind of stuff. Because you just think that love is romance and, oh, I just adore you and all that. That isn't really the sum of love. If we're thinking about God being love and God's love, what does that look like, Mark?
What is God's love? Well, God's love is actually him coming all the way from glory. There's that song, he came from heaven to earth, all the way down to earth to show his love to us by sacrificing himself, giving himself, all of himself, so that we could have life abundantly.
And for me, that speaks commitment. Like, all throughout the Bible, you see how committed God was to his people. Like, he never wavered from his love, and he would always seek out his people, and he would always seek to help and assist and befriend and look after his people.
So are you saying to me that in the same way that God was committed to us, we ought to be committed to each other in order to really experience the best of what marriage has to offer?
It's not only being committed to each other. There's like three parts to this. There's the commitment we have to God, or our significant higher being, if you're watching and you're not Christian. Then there's the commitment we have to ourselves, our self-development as people and who we are and what we bring to the relationship. And then there's commitment to each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like the first two are really, really critical, because if you've seen our baggage videos, if you come in with baggage and you are not committed to dealing with that baggage, and you as a spouse are not committed to being there to support one another with baggage and dealing through that stuff, then yeah, you're going to get to a level where you either plateau or you go, I'm out.
I think it's really interesting, this journey and this idea of, each individual working to improve themselves throughout the relationship and the marriage. I think that's a really tricky one, because you might find that, for example, somebody doesn't really enjoy reading and they don't really like listening to Audible, stuff from Audible and audiobooks and stuff. And so how do they then improve? How do they get better? Do they go to talks, conferences? Do they speak to people about stuff? I don't know. How can people actually tap into that space?
Well, I think the first thing for me is having a teachable spirit is number one. Like, your approach to your relationship shouldn't be like,
I know it all.
I know it all. I've done this before. Like, I know what love is or what it should be or whatever, And I guess for guys, it would probably be similar, like not being like, I'm the head of this home. I know everything. Like, but actually having a teachable spirit and knowing your limits and your limitations and knowing where you might need to seek help.
Yeah, I think a teachable spirit for me, I mean, you're right, absolutely right. I think for me, teachable spirit is just that awareness that you don't know it all, and acknowledging that actually you know, I'm more than happy to learn from whatever sources that will pour into me so that I can actually be
because that's the
best
thing.
within
And
this relationship.
you know, from us as a couple, I can't say it was books that helped our marriage. I can't say it was videos. I can't say it was sermons.
Have you reached the zenith point?
No. That is helping our marriage, right? Okay, let me put it in the present tense. It's all of those things combined. And God speaks to us in so many different ways, Mark. The point we're making is you can get advice, you can get support, you can get help from a large amount of sources. It doesn't have to be what works for
Pastors,
us.
mentors,
Whoever
wives,
is around you.
elderly women in the church, friends who've been married and have some experience.
Yes.
All sorts.
Yeah. Help needs to be edifying, right? If you've got a friend that's like, oh, your husband is this, oh, your husband doesn't do that, oh, your husband this, or blah, 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 I would be refraining from that relationship because that person is talking your spouse down, right? If you have a friend or friendship group that constantly talking down about their spouses, that's not the circle you want to be in.
Because it's not healthy.
No. You want to surround yourself with people who are committed to their relationships, who are willing to do work on their relationships and themselves, who acknowledge when they make mistakes or the parts about them that they're not happy with and are willing to work at it.
So we were having this conversation about, you know, what commitment actually looks like. The level of commitment should really rise to the point where, you know, you're committed to doing whatever it takes to find a solution or to find a way forward as a team. If this was a project at work and there was lots of money invested, I mean, at the moment, there are lives invested. There's, you know, the whole partnership.
Sometimes
then
children.
There's children involved. And there's whole families that have come together to kind of rally around and support this whole unit. And so likewise, if it was work, you'd find a solution, you'd find a way through whatever that problem is. Of course, this is more relational, and so the dynamics are very different. But equally, you should still be just as committed, willing to do whatever it takes. And I think one of the things that really gets in the way is ego.
100%. You hit the nail on
Where
the
it's
head.
like, oh my gosh, you know, how dare you do that to me? And oh, I'm not going to go down that low to do that. You know, I deserve better. Of course, everybody deserves better. Everybody deserves to be treated with respect and all of those other good stuff that should come with marriage. And sometimes that doesn't happen. But still, you should find a way. And for us, luckily, fortunately, whichever way you look at it, we're Christians. And so we go back to the basics. You know, there's sometimes we have misunderstandings, and I go to my own little room and I pray and I commit myself, I journal and I ask God to help me, you know, just show me, just give me some clarity around where it is that I'm making mistakes. And a lot of the times I tend to look at myself to see what it is that I've done wrong or how it is that I am messing up the situation. Put the ego aside. Lord, help me see clearly what it is that I'm doing. And then beyond that, you see that actually you have some clarity on, okay, fine, I might have tried this and this hasn't worked. So going forward, maybe I could try something different, you know, with authenticity and that real genuineness about what you're trying to do without the ego, which helps.
Yeah, I think coming back to ego as well, there's a huge thing about not letting people into your relationship. I feel like that's a massive red flag.
Yeah.
Why am
But
I
isn't that
saying
because of trust, though? Because people have been let down a lot of the time.
I suppose it stems from trust. And that, again, that's where you go back to your working on your own self. So if you have trust issues, then you're going to need to work on that because marriage is built on trust, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a certain level of trust to live with somebody for the rest of your life and
Any
to commit to
relationship
them,
is built
you
on
know,
trust.
both financially and everything.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to work on your trust because you cannot go through a marriage without trust for each other. I mean, then you're just going to be doing some kind of partnership that's like a, you know, tick box activity. But if you want a genuine, heartfelt relationship, then you're going to have to work on these things. And for us, we have found it really, really edifying to be able to, as Mark said, do the self-reflection, see where we have errors, because every single day, you know, a new thing will flag up. And as you go through marriage, these things will flag up. They will come out. And that's why that Bible verse says, they twain shall be one flesh, right? And it's working through those little things that come up that actually makes you the one flesh. So it's not about running at the first sight of the problem. And by the way, we're not talking about life-threatening problems. If you are in a situation or a relationship that is life-threatening or dangerous to you and your children, I would urge you to seek help and advice from the support system around you. Because that is not a safe situation to be in. But we're talking about things that happen over time, you know, small annoyances, irritations, habitual habits, things that, you know, persist in relationships. Then those things are the things that you need to be actively seeking support with and helping to change those habits, because it is possible to transform and to change habits.
And I think one of the other things, just to add on to what you're talking about there, for me personally, what has really worked is having books. I mean, this is like sitting down with, I don't know, some of these gurus in, marriage, like Gary Chapman, and you name all that list of all those good people that have actually put together some material to help us become better at what we do within the marriage. And so what's been really useful is sitting down and going through some of these books, whether they're audibles or books, hard copies, and actually reading through some of the frameworks just to help me reframe how I'm seeing things. Because I think that's really key, especially in marriage. True. Perspective. I mean, with any relationship, perspective is everything. And so a lot of the times I just need some reframing, some different set of glasses to help me see things in a different light. And so that's really been useful. I mean, take for example, this book is titled Grit. And I love it because it just talks about this determination to really work through something, to get down to the bare bones and actually, unravel something to the point where you really see the finer fabrics within whatever it is. And you're like, actually, that's the thing that's getting in the way. And that's what I found with our relationship. Sometimes you're really going to have to knuckle down and work super hard to accomplish something. For example, if you say, I'm going to be positive in this marriage, I guarantee you, 5 minutes later, something's going to happen that's going to try and upset you and just prove to you that actually, even though you've made up your mind, that's not how the world works. But you're going to have to work at that. Continuously tell yourself, there's that whole NLP stuff, neuro-linguistic programming, tell yourself about, all the positivity. There's all sorts of affirmation stuff that we use.
The self-talk app
that we use, which is brilliant.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of stuff to do with, childhood traumas, and we've done loads of videos on that. There's a lot that you come into the marriage with, and it's about being open to exploring that in your relationship and building that trust to say, hey, there's this thing over here that I've experienced, and I think it's making me behave in this way in our relationship. Can we help each other out? Can we sort it out together? And that's why you have that companion. You're there to do it together. There's no point in suffering in silence and keeping this thing to yourself.
Do you know, it just made me think about something, because I was wondering about what gets in the way of commitment. And a lot of the times, just like, for example, if you decided you wanted to go to, a gym membership, sign up for a gym membership, it might be the weather. It might be the fact that you have to drive this long distance. It might be the fact that, on that day, you just don't feel chemically, you're not feeling great and you just don't want to go. It might be influence of others. It could be the fact that you ate some really interesting food and you thought actually it's just made you feel really lethargic and so forth. So all of those things could add to, I don't want to go anymore. And likewise, even within a marriage, similar things happen. And so as, to the point that you're making earlier about spotting these things early and being aware of what is it that's actually affecting my commitment. Is it the fact that when I say I'm going to be positive, the first thing that Bethel says is negative, and that just drives me up the wall, and then I can't see, all I just see is red.
I do happen to be a pessimist, to be honest. Most of the time I always see like the pessimistic view, because I'm like the facts and the figures and everything. I'm going to be like, yeah, that's a great idea, but have you considered this? And then he's like, come on, why can't you just see that this is going to be amazing?
See the light.
Yeah, it probably could be amazing, but we first need to make sure that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so that's sometimes I can burst your bubble with.
So just being mindful of the fact that actually, there are going to be things that will try and get in the way of your commitment. If you become aware of those, because awareness is everything, just being aware of what it is that actually gets in the way, you're one step closer to actually being more aligned to your commitment. So,
is love enough?
Yes, because for me, love looks like. Well, do you know what? Love to me looks like commitment. That's what love is, because love is not just I love you as the adverb, but it's more of the doing. It's the doing. It's the really getting into the dirt and getting things done.
Tell us what you think in the comments below.